Awesome. Welcome everyone. Let's see. Yeah, another Thursday, another class. How are you, Rachel?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So Cameron, he's taking the night off. So he says hi. But yeah, he'll be back next week. So let's hi everyone in the chat if you wanna say hi, where you're from. And then if your username doesn't have a name and you want us to call your name, make sure you enter the name. Sometimes we don't know who is talking to us. And yeah, anything before jump in? That we have a few announcements, but we have a big one on the Search Diligently tool. So let me make sure I add our quick banner here.
Yeah.
And if you haven't signed in, please sign in. We have a lot of people signing in, giving us feedback, which is great. And yeah, we're putting so many features, and I think we have not announced all of them. So we are gonna behind announce all of the updates we're making. But a big one is, so if you go to any chapter right now, for example, let's go to Genesis. Well, we are reading Exodus. And yeah, you're gonna see this icon here, and then in the header. This only is activated on the Old Testament right now, but we're working on having it on the New Testament. But this is for translations. So if you click on it, then you see a list of translations. So you can just take any translation and click on it, and then you're gonna have that translation version, so you can read it right away, the whole thing. So without clicking verse by verse, because let me show you the standard way in the website that we had before was to click on the verse and then open translations and then compare. So, but now if you want to just you have a translation you like, then yeah, go ahead, and if you want to use the Septuagint, you can just read the whole thing. We added also, and this is only available, this tool, when you have an account. So if you have an account and you are logged in, like I'm logged in right now, you can see the NIV and the NSAB, the New American Standard Version Bible, and these two are great, but they are copyright, and the only way we can have them is through something called API access. And anyway, so we have an account, and there is a limit, but we would love you guys to use it, so we know what it will take for people to actually expire all the API calls and see what it will take to have this running all the time for everyone. So, but right now we have no reference point unless you guys know that we have this available. So just play around. They are very accurate. We're planning to add a few other ones. So stay tuned on that. I don't want to overpromise, but I got a lot of feedback on the translations people are using the most, and I found a few that I think we can get a deal and add them on the website. So yeah,
that's great. Yeah, it's great. I love reading through the different translations.
Yeah. Well, I think definitely it gives you perspective, right? That is a different lenses of the translators. So some of them are more literal, other ones are more like a literary approach, other ones are more interpretative. So we have a list of a source for the translations on the website under resources, translations, and then here we have the different ones and some of the highlights for each. I do need to add the NIV and the NSIB, and I will do that very soon. But yeah, play with them.
I like the NIV. I have my younger kids read that one a lot just because it's an easier read. And so sometimes if you have younger kids, that's one I think it's easier for them rather than the King James language, which is a little like tricky. So I don't know. Yeah, I love to see the different ones. That's great.
Yes.
Awesome.
They're great. But if you want to just go to the Hebrew directly, which is fun too, we have
that too.
We have the Hebrew, all the Hebrew resources too, anyway. So if you haven't signed in, just that we have the URL here on the screen. Go ahead, and we have a lot of cool things coming in too, so stay tuned for that. All right, let me take this banner. Anything you want to throw as introduction for this blog, Rachel?
Well, let's see. We left off at 11 last time. Okay, so no, I think. Well, how much do we want to review where we're at here with?
Well, yeah, just Isaiah 13. This is a whole blog. Isaiah 13 to 23. Technically, it's one blog. These are oracles. We call them oracle against the nations. So it says prophesying to the nations around Israel. And they're called oracles. The word is burden. We talked about it last time that it meant to put pressure on them because we have, back then was the Assyrian Empire trying to conquer the world, and he's now go over all of these nations and destroy them until he comes to Jerusalem. But then these are a composite, the agent who that's destroying is not just the Assyrians. So sometimes are the Chaldeans, and sometimes are going to be, in this case, the Medes, but all of them represent that one entity who is destroying Babylon, which represents the current system. So that is a direct application for today. So,
and so each of the chapters is addressed, like in this block, each of the chapters is addressed to a different group of people, even though they all fit within the same spiritual category of Babylon. Is that a good way of?
Yeah. Babylon here is the great, the mother of all harlots. Yeah. And so in some sense, all of these little countries, kingdoms belong to that beast, and just a beast system. Babylon, again, this is in Revelation 17, she's riding the beast. So that is a beast with 7 heads, 10 horns. The idea of her riding the beast is that she's a harlot, she's a counterfeit system, and she's using priesthood colors. We know that the purple, the blue, the scarlet, the gold, and the whole type is because she's at the top of the beast. If you want to have a positioning on this system, you have to sell yourself as the parallel with prostitution, so you can get ranking. This is the same idea of the Tower of Babel or the Grand Spacious Building, and it's the illusion, the construct. We talked about last week about the matrix idea that is ruling the world, and people need to wake up to that, come out of Babylon, because everything around the dominion of Babylon is going to be destroyed in the end time. So, is that clear?
Yeah, I think so. I hope everybody else gets it. I think so.
Yeah, and this is a graphic just to show you the idea. I started doing it as with more geometric figures, but then it turned into a tabernacle thing. But just look at it from a 3-space dimension, where you have the Holy of Holies, the small place, and then you have the holy place, and then you have the outer court, and then you have what is outside. And the enemy is always outside, and then there is some boundaries around all of this idea of the tabernacle. And in the book of Revelation, in Revelation chapter 11, the angel is talking to John, and John takes a rod, and then he is marking the holy place and putting a limit on the holy place and the Holy of Holies. And then the rest is going to be open for, it says for the Gentiles, but that's where everything is going to be destroyed. So eventually the enemy comes so close home, and it's not talking about a physical temple, it's talking about a spiritual condition. We're going to touch some of that in the lecture today, but this represents Babylon dominion. So when we're talking about the destruction of Babylon, it's the system, but also is spiritual condition of the people. So,
and it's Isaiah 1 where we talked about, that's where we talked about some temple things and the unclean animals and kind of sacrifices that are be given and what it is the Lord wants. I was kind of surprised to this time around doing Isaiah, realizing so much of this is about the temple, but yourself or your body as the temple and what the Lord requires or wants from us. So I like the imagery here. It's awesome.
Yep. Okay. We'll read that as background. Then, we're going to read from verses 12 to 22 today. You want to start with this?
Yeah, I was just gonna reiterate. So this half of the chapter 13 of Isaiah, we're talking about pretty much what the armies, this army that we've been talking about, what they do and their type of destruction. So I just was looking around for some different examples of this kind of army, because last time I talked about, talk about where was this army from? Are they coming from some other realm? We got into some of the weird giant stuff and everything. So I was looking for a type where they're actually like a human army. So but I wanted to go over this real quick, that these terrifying supernatural armies are kind of a theme we see not only in the Bible and in scriptures, but they're also in a bunch of these mythological patterns that you find in the A&E. And so these were the main things I found that were consistent with a few, and we're just going to go over one tonight. But so some of their distinctive traits are they come from some supernatural origin, like in this chapter, and in chapter 5, they come from a place from afar. It's like we don't know what boundary it is they come from the ends of the earth or the ends of heaven or some place in the north. It's kind of not super defined. So they also have they're unstoppable in their advancement and moving forward. They also come with a terrifying sound. I think in Joel 2, they look like, they act like locusts, but they look like horses, but they make the sound of chariots on top of the mountains. So there's like a combination of all these things. I found this horse-head grasshopper. I was looking for some locust thing, and I was like, oh, there's a combination of the horse and the locust grasshopper together. I kind of had to laugh at that. But also then the heavens and stars, sun, moon become darkened, and there's some kind of cosmic disturbance. And then they also have an association with divine wrath, usually God's divine wrath, and then judgment. And so those are like the same parts that we see with these armies. You want to add anything to that?
Well, no, the image is very terrifying. And in Revelation 9, they come from the abyss. It says bottomless pit, but it's the Greek for abyss. And they come, and then they are the agent of bring forth it's like that, a reset button. So you have corruption, now we need to reset the whole thing. And so when you have creation, you have the earth has been desolate, empty, right? Then the spirit of the Lord moves upon the face of the deep, and then creation begins from that. But to get to the point of desolation, right, something needs to make the earth desolate.
Chaos, right?
Chaos. They're the hand of destruction. So then the Lord can recreate everything to eventually have a new Eden, a new Zion, and all of that.
Yeah. Okay. So here's my type that I found for this army, acting like mortals, but having this like more mythical way about them. This is an army. They were known as the 10,000 Immortals, and they were an elite force of the Persian army in, I don't know what, Achaemenid Empire. This is not one I'm familiar with, but 550 to 330 BCE. So they formed the king's personal bodyguard, and they were also considered the shock troops of the infantry in Persian warfare. They are among the most famous fighting forces of the ancient world. So basically, this name comes from this policy that they have, the Immortals, is to keep their number always at 10,000. And if anyone couldn't participate, or they were killed or hurt, or some had responsibility to do something else, they replaced them so that their number always stayed at 10,000. And so that gave like this impression that they couldn't be killed and they were immortal and invincible because their numbers were always the same. Mm-hmm. So then one other connection to this 10,000, when we're in the scriptures, when they're describing the heavenly host, and when God comes with his the Lord of Hosts comes with his heavenly host. A lot of times it'll be like 10,000 or 10,000 times 10,000, or so it's kind of a number that's related to this heavenly host of stars too. So I thought that was interesting.
Just also Ephraim, Manasseh are the 10,000 of Ephraim, 10,000 of Manasseh, and Deuteronomy 33 verse 17.
Yeah, interesting, right? So there's a type for immortal but immortal army. And then my other type is not a mortal army. This one's from the Babylonian Enuma Elish tablet. And this is one I thought it was really interesting. I got 2 slides here on it. I'm just going to read it to you guys real quick so you can get an idea. This is describing basically the same kind of army. And this is Tiamat, who's I think created this army. Okay, so with those whom you created, you go at her side. They are banded together, and at the side of Tiamat they advance. They are furious. They devise mischief without resting night and day. They prepare for battle, fuming and raging. They have joined their forces and are making war. Hubur, who formed all things, hath made in addition weapons invincible. She hath spawned monster serpents, sharp of tooth and merciless of fang. With poison instead of blood, she hath filled their bodies. Fierce monster vipers she hath clothed with terror. With splendor she hath decked them. She hath made them of lofty stature. Whoever beholdeth them, terror overcometh him. Their bodies rear up, and none can withstand their attack. Move me one more forward, Rodolfo, there. Yep. Okay. Then she had set up vipers and dragons and the monster Lahamu, and hurricanes and raging hounds and scorpion men, and mighty tempests and fishmen and rams. They bear merciless weapons without fear of the fight. Her commands are mighty, none can resist them. After this fashion, huge of stature hath she made 11 monsters among the gods who are her sons, inasmuch as he hath given her support, she hath exalted Kingu. In her midst, she hath raised him to power, to march before the forces, to lead the host, to give the battle signal, to advance the attack, to direct the battle, to control the fight. And to him hath she entrusted in costly raiment, she hath made him sit, saying, I have uttered thy spell in the assembly of the gods, I have raised thee to power. The dominion over all the gods have I entrusted unto thee. Be thou exalted, thou my chosen spouse. So, I mean, that's a pretty terrifying, not sounding human army.
Well, in Revelation 9, they have the tail like scorpion. So scorpion tails.
Totally. So I know, I was like, oh, that plays in there. There's definitely,
Well, and that,
yes.
So there's there is a text, I think it's a rabbinic text of a vision of somebody seeing a seraph, and back then they associate them with a viper because a viper had this multicolor figure, and that's a very actually ancient tradition of the rainbow body. So you can ascend higher, like I think in Buddhism, you get this rainbow color when you ascend higher. And the association was that, there are some of these entities that they were seraphs, and they have they shine in a way that the color was rainbow. And we know actually some of that because of the book of Revelation. You have the stones. All of them, they have the property of being what is called esoteric, meaning the light comes and then fragments, break down the light so you can see the spectrum. Like the prism, and then it becomes like a rainbow. So that's a property of those who receive some light. And then we can make the case that maybe that was some of the connection with this idea of a viper, and there are maybe fallen angels who reach that level and then fall, and that's how they look like somehow. But who knows?
I know there's some like fiery flying serpent is like kind of like and we have those in like mythology all the time, like Quetzalcoatl is like a fiery flying serpent, no fire but feathers. That's cool. I like that. Okay, here we are.
That's a nice setup for.
Now I thought I would just use this into.
There is an army here we're gonna cover, and that is a historical type pointing to an end time entity, and let's go for it. So I'll read the first block. I will make mortal more rare than fine gold, and men than the gold of fear. Therefore, heavens I will cause to tremble, and the earth shall shake from its place, and the overflowing wrath of Yahweh of hosts, and the day of the burning of his anger. And it shall be like a gazelle driven away, like a sheep with none gathering. Each to his people they shall return, and each to his land they shall flee. Everyone who is found shall be pierced through, and everyone who swept shall fall by the sword. Yeah, we see the cataclysm in verse 11, verse 10 and 11, and the Lord is coming against Babylon, and now we're describing the consequences of that destruction. One is going to be that, first we see this metaphor of gold, that the gold, we're going to have a few slides for that is very hard to find, meaning that humanity is going to decrease on the earth. So anything here that stood out to you that before jumping into the slides?
No, go to the slides. That's good.
Yeah, I think we will cover a lot of it in the slides. Yeah, this is the goal of fear. So if you look at one, this is the idea of reduction of the population because of cataclysm. This is Revelation 9. We talk about Revelation 9 and Revelation 11 too. This army and those who have power, in this case, are the angels. And the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month. And the hour is that very moment of judgment. So that and the end time is when the tribulation begins. And there is a fun play on the concept of the hour in section 45, when the Lord speak to the saints and said that repent because you don't know the hour you will die. So the hour is always present. We can die in any moment. That's judgment. But in the end time, again, we have the day and the hour of the signs of his coming. The hour specifically can be a reference to that time we call the time of Jacob's trouble or tribulation. Anyway, so they are reserved for that very moment in a year to slay the third part of men. So you have the third. So if we have around 9 billion people, right? You're gonna have people might think, oh, 3 billion people will die. Not necessarily. I believe it's looking more at this concept of this temple division. That's the tabernacle of the Lord as his people. So we might see that actually might be a greater number. I don't know, maybe less. Whoever is making it through the holy place as a condition, then to me that's what maybe this is making a reference to.
Maybe they're not, like not 3 equal parts. It could just be, this part could be this big, this could be this big. Exactly. Yeah, I think I'll be different. Got it. Okay.
It's kind of like in Revelation 12, right? The dragon, he dragged with his tail a third of the hosts of heaven. So it's a symbolic number, and you have those 3 divisions all over the scriptures showing us a type of conditions. And then you have a couple of Old Testament reference to, I'm pronouncing this correctly, Rachel, Ophir?
I think so, Ophir. Yeah, that's how I would say it.
The gold of Ophir was a very special gold, like King Solomon asked for it. They brought it, for example, and to the construction of the temple, and was a precious. And the Book of Kings and Chronicles mention that, for example, the ships of Tarshish, which is there is a type of this in Isaiah, they bring forth this type of gold. And then in some of the poetic books, this becomes a type. For example, in Job, it cannot be valued with the gold of Ophir, with the precious onyx and sapphire, meaning that it was equivalent of something that has the perception of something very, very hard, scarce, valuable to find. On the right hand at this stand the Queen of Gold of Ophir, that's in Psalm 45. And the parallel is life is going to be very hard to maintain because of the instability of the condition. So people are going to die faster than we have time to bury them, and it's going to be only a few that will survive, and that few is in Isaiah chapter 10, and also in Isaiah chapter 24, when you see also some type of cataclysm event. Then that anything on this?
No, that's great. Those are all pretty awesome.
Okay, so yeah, the earth shall quake from its place. And what can we make from this? Because it's very clear that there are so many, and only added a few of the references. I don't know, what is this? Go away, here we go. That the earth is going to be, I don't know, breaking down somehow. And so when we read, so this is also very interesting here in the Hebrew. So it's going to, the cataclysm happens because the wrath of the Lord of hosts and the day of the burning of his anger. So the burning of his anger is the same word for nostrils, when somebody is very agitated, right? There is a fast breathing. And so
nostrils flare, and it's like anger.
Anger. So the Lord is going to, like, he's going to sleep the wicked with the breath of his sleep. And what do you make from that? Is that when you see these cataclysms happening, it's like that is the the Lord blowing upset. That's the metaphor, because it's trying to attach to some type of character of how God is feeling, right, through the events. And there are a couple interesting ones. So one is going to be that, through his fast breathing, he is going to, again, it's going to parallel to the cataclysms happening. So this is Isaiah 24. The earth is utterly broken down. The earth is clean, dissolved. The earth is moved exceedingly. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard. And we read this before, but if you want to read the context, again, this is the context. It's Isaiah 13. It's because the Lord is shaking the earth to destroy the Babylon system. It shall remove like a cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. And you can parallel here to the Grain and Spacious building. Again, God is going to be their fall, and whatever that is going to be something that you cannot rebuild. So every life as we know it, all of the system, our economic lifestyle, all of that is going to be reshaped in a way that we cannot do what we do now. All the comfort we have, right? A heater, warm showers.
All my favorite things. Yeah, it's like, oh geez.
Everything that Babylon give us in exchange for selling our freedom, then that's going to be throwing down greatly by some type of cataclysm. So this is Joel. Also, you mentioned Joel chapter 2, this is chapter 3. The Lord also shall roar out of Zion and out of his voice from Jerusalem, and the heavens and the earth shall shake. So when we see that shaking, that's the equivalent of the Lord roaring like a lion or something like that. This is Haggai.
So if there's noise linked to it, obviously, it's like, is there a noise that, specifically?
It can be the trumpets, noise. And we don't know if that's going to be a physical sound of a trumpet, or it's because of these effects are being caused by some type of vibration that's causing them. That is the equivalent of a trumpet, of the Lord raising his voice, and all of that. So this is Haggai 2:6. For thus said the Lord of hosts, yet it is a little while, and I will shake the heavens and the earth and the sea and the dry land. There is a parallel here. Let's look at it very quickly with Isaiah 26 to give you some hope.
Yeah, we have to keep bouncing back to the hope in this because
let me use the King James. So, yeah, better. So, can my people enter down to thy chambers? And chambers is a closing space. So if you look at this as a type, this is exposed, the outer court, and then a chamber, all of this is going to be protected. So that is covering. And that's the same word for atonement in Hebrew. Kafar represents covering. And so anybody is like the destroying angel passing over the Israelites, so the blood covers them. And so the idea of a chamber is the same. Where my mouse go? Represent a place. This is the holy place. Might be a literal location, literal, I don't know, dome. Yeah. I don't know, probably. If you think that, put it in the comments. But it's a condition first. And shut thy doors about thee, hide thyself, as it will be for a little moment, until the indignation be overpassed. So I don't know what a little moment means for the Lord, though. He's very patient, so that can be a year, 3.5 years. I don't know.
Yeah.
But for him will be little. And you have a good connection here, right, with section 120.
Oh, yes. Yeah, the small moment.
On the Lord told Joseph.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think little moment or small moment or small, that amount of time represents like a time of trial or difficulty because in D&C Joseph's told, for a small moment, and so he has to suffer these things, but it's only for a small moment. I think definitely it's small to the Lord and it feels big to us, but probably hindsight makes it feel much smaller.
Yeah.
Or a little while.
A little while, until the indignation be overpassed. So it's the same indignation that we are reading here in verse 13. So this is Matthew 24. That's the Lord speaking in the Mount Olives. And he said, immediately after the tribulation of those days, and this is parallel with Isaiah 13, shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. There is a reference to the fig tree too, right? That the Lord would shake as the figs are falling from the tree. And that's in Isaiah 30, somewhere in Isaiah 34, 35. And so this is going to be I think we have some type, you have something to cover on the idea of Sodom and Gomorrah, right? Things falling from heaven. But it's going to cause massive disruption. This is Nahum 1:6. The mountains quake at him, the hills melt, the earth is burned at his presence, yet the world and all that dwell therein, who can stand before his indignation? Same idea. Who can abide his fierceness and his anger? His fury is put out like fire, and the rocks are thrown down by him. So you can picture that. And it's not as the cataclysm that's described here in Matthew 13. So
that's a good one. Okay, sorry, I'm writing notes here.
And then you can see, the destruction of Babylon was not in Isaiah's time, and people talk about Isaiah's Isaiah 1-39 be only applied for Isaiah's time, and it's not prophetic in nature. And this chapter in itself throws down all of that, because Babylon was never destroyed during the time of Isaiah, and everything he's speaking here, you can parallel with eschatological prophecies. So all of this is speaking about the end time. We haven't had these type of cataclysms as far as I know, although I do experience in Chile a 8.8 earthquake in 2010. 8.8 is massive. Like they had one in Utah a few years ago. I don't know how it was. It was like
It
5 or
was. It
7.
was. Oh yeah. The Angel Moroni one. Yeah, it was like
People
small.
were freaking out.
5.
That's a baby one. We have those every day in Chile. I took Emily and we had a little, we call that tremor happening. And she was like, it's an earthquake. And everybody, no, it's going to be okay. We just stand up only for the 7.8 and higher.
Yeah.
But when you feel that,
was it one that was shaking, or was it like a big rolling one? I'm from California, so I've done a lot too, but I've never done anything that big. But they're so different, you know.
I don't know. It was like a back and forth. It was 3 a.m, and I went to my I stood in the house of a mission companion that day, and it was I wake up, and you always get some of those around in the night. Sometimes you can wake up a little bit, and you wait until it goes away, and you fall asleep again.
Is it over?
No big deal. But then began, and after 30 seconds, it started escalating, and then when it gets to the peak, it was around 60 seconds on the peak. But the power of nature, it's like energy release. You feel like your soul change, and you feel. We went outside, both of us, and we saw people just crying on the street, praying to God that probably never prayed before. There is no other exclamation to recognize that there is a greater power when those things happening. So.
They're scary enough to make you believe in a God if you don't.
And then we have whatever is left, right? Because we have the cataclysm, and then there is something happening, which is this army coming in after, I don't know, we are in such a vulnerable situation because of everything being destroyed. And then we see an entity. And so you want to read some of these, Rachel?
Oh, yeah, I'll read the first one. So, okay, so she'll fall by the sword. This is Revelation 6:4. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. Ugh.
And then 45, 68, and those are the 4 horses.
Yeah.
We have white, and then black, and then red. So this is the third one. It shall come to pass among the wicked that every man that will not take his sword against his neighbor must flee unto Zion for safety. So it's gonna be and again, that shows you that it's a place for safety, which is going to be Zion. That again, the world, Babylon. Zion is going to be a place for refuge. Everything else is going to be you have to take the sword. And the problem is, if you, in the book of Revelation, if you take the sword, you will die by the sword. So, and there is not much of a hope of you having some cool skills defending yourself. You're going to be swept off, and we're going to read that.
Oh, and here it says against your neighbor too. It's like, if that's like symbolic of like, someone you live with and you should know. And like, I don't want to fight against my neighbor. Like, just like the idea of that is like, oh.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah. Not great. When if fleeing to Zion, like Zion is like it represents like the mountaintop, or like where the water comes up to the neck. Or is that like the same parallel here, or different? Or Zion? Yeah. I mean, Zion's always on
it. Yeah. So the flood represents the judgment, but then in Isaiah 8, it reaches the neck.
Yeah.
That's Assyrian. The river overflows, and you have this army sweeping the land. There's a reference to like going like a
water can sweep through. Yeah.
But then it cannot reach the higher place, but that is can be spiritual. That those who are in that holy place, and that's what the Lord told Ezekiel 42, that the Lord gave when He showed him the temple. The vision of the temple, He said that the top of the house is the most holy. That's called the rule of the house. The top of the house is the most holy. Mm-hmm. The top of the mountain is the most holy. Yeah. And so there is a point where this it's not be you're not able to reach that the judgment doesn't reach that location, spiritual condition. Probably will be a location too, right? They're gonna be taken, go to a place.
Places probably.
Yeah, Rexburg, Idaho, probably. Speaking of which, that Utah, every 400 years there is a big earthquake in Utah, and like a massive. And I think we are overdoing Utah by like 10 years. And there was such fall, right? That's where it's
there is,
the biggest fault in the country.
There's a huge fault here that. I do use the Quake Feed app on my phone, and I watch all the, I have it at like a 2, set it at 2, so I can see all the little ones in case something then big is going to come. And I do keep an eye on it just for fun because it's interesting.
The most scary thing is liquidation areas. That's what I will look for myself. Like
the liquefaction where the ground turns to
water. Yeah, that will be very hard to. But don't worry. Okay, so, and this is in Jeremiah. A sword is upon the Chaldeans, again, Babylon, Chaldea, same location, neighbors, same area of Greater Babylonia. The sword is upon the Chaldeans, said the Lord, and upon the inhabitants of Babylon, and upon her princes, and upon her wise men. A sword is upon the liars. Like, all of this is the category, and they shall dote. A sword is upon her mighty men, and they shall be dismayed. A sword is upon their horses, and upon the chariots, and upon all mingled people. That's interesting, right? Mingle. That are in the midst of her. This is the woman, Babylon, and they shall become as a woman. This also appears in Isaiah that 19, the Egyptians become as a woman, and not to diminish women, right? But more than compared to whatever is coming, it's going to be a type of, don't have the maybe the strength of a man.
Yeah, that's fair. I all the time am annoyed that my husband's way stronger than me, and there's things that I just do.
I'm a fan woman, so
but hey, in the Book of Mormon, there is a type where it says the women became strong like unto the men. So
in the wilderness, right? The sword is upon her treasures, and that is all her inventory. That's in Revelation 18. There is something there. And they shall be robbed. So this is coming upon Babylon the Great. So that's the plug. You want to read this?
Sure. Okay, so 16 through 18 here. And this one's a bummer. Okay, their infants shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes. Their houses shall be plundered, and their wives shall be lain with. Behold me stirring up against them the Medes, who silver they do not value, and in gold they do not delight. And bows shall dash young men to pieces, and on the fruit of the womb they shall have no compassion. On sons their eyes shall not spare. I mean, this one is
very hard.
Yeah, it's pretty horrible.
And maybe there is a hyperbole here, the exaggeration of the point to.
You hope so, but
it can, of course, it can happen. It's something that it happened in the past, right? That you have entities coming to different places and conquer, and they have no mercy.
Yeah,
and I think that's the principle, is that whoever this army is, they won't have the value that sometimes the empathy we have for some of the vulnerable in society. For them, they have only one mission only, is just take over and destroy.
Well, and the gold and silver too, I feel like could represent, like, they're not, maybe can't be bought off either. I feel like a lot of times, it's not a good type to be bought off or to be able to be, moved towards money. But that even shows that it's not a factor in what they're doing either. Maybe, right?
Well, and the system we live today, right? It all comes down to currency.
Yeah.
And you can navigate and get away with currency, and people get away with terrible things probably, but we don't know because they have the means, and rules applies not equal to everyone because of currency,
Yeah.
and that's Babylon. But we're seeing with this agent of destruction that whatever we use here to get away, it won't happen. So we have a couple of slides on that. The bow always is going to be there is a good Nibli did a good paper, I believe, the bow and the arrow, something like that,
Yeah, he has, yeah, a
in the
couple.
Middle East. Yeah, how there's so much mythology behind the bow, and we're gonna read some of that eventually more in Isaiah with the Elamites
Yeah.
and whatever that means, because that is also linked when they stretch their
Yeah,
bows.
stretch, yeah, the arms,
That links
long arms, and
to the tribulation, and
mhm.
yeah, so that's
Yeah, well, and bows, like bow, yeah, represents like a mighty hunter too, and they're interesting. I mean, in the Nephi breaking the bow, it's funny that we have it in the Book of Mormon as well. I mean, there's some really interesting, yeah, aspects.
but it's a supernatural weapon too. It's something that when I see these bows going up, and his heart starts trembling, he starts shaking because of whatever he's seeing. So if it's
Whatever it is, yeah,
cataclysm or it's something coming from out of our like super weapons, because we don't have, I don't know if these are entities from another dimension who has advanced weapons. Have no idea, but
well,
whatever it is,
yeah.
it's gonna destroy into pieces.
The word bow too isn't it's the same for like the bow in the cloud versus like a
same word.
Weapon bow. I mean, they're like part of the same word. So I wonder, yeah.
Ephraim gets a bow to fight back in Zechariah, I believe Zechariah chapter 12. And so eventually, yeah, there is some type of
interesting
even up, but
yeah, not at first.
So the Medes are the ones who are being used as a type. The only problem, and this is again, scholars try to, how do we fit this, because this is beyond Isaiah's prophesying time. They are around, they come around, they unify with the Persian Empire. So you have the Medo-Persian Empire around 540 with King Cyrus, and they're the ones who destroy literal Babylon after Nebuchadnezzar conquers Jerusalem and they destroys the temple and take them captive to Babylon. King Cyrus destroys Babylon. So that is around 100 years, 120 plus years after Isaiah. And so how is he prophesying using these guys as a type? Well, the answer is obvious that he needs to use a historical type because all the words of Isaiah has been and shall be, but because there was no proximity type to describe the destruction of Babylon, Assyria didn't really destroy Babylon. Then he's using whatever is closer, which in this case are the Medes, even though that requires go a century later. So
it's funny. I don't ever get hung up on that because I'm always like, oh, it's just it's all the pieces are being used as an example. But then I read papers where it's like debated and fought over, and I'm like, I didn't even realize it mattered. But
it doesn't matter. Yeah, the principle matter, and if it's definitely a composite.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then the Syrian army and Isaiah chapter 10 can be the same army of the Medes. It's a composite figure who's doing the same work. But because of hermeneutics, meaning how he is approaching, he's speaking to Babylon, so he needs to look at from Babylon lenses, then he needs to use a type that will be chronologically accurate. But if you superimpose that to as an end time prophecy, you can just blur all of these names and then you start putting them together and it's the same idea. So
yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, there are, I think, today modern people of Iran, which is very interesting. And was because of what's happening today. But then they become the Medo-Persian empire with Persia and King Cyrus. And they were fearless warriors. And yeah, you can read the slides. They destroy with King Cyrus Babylon, and the tradition is in one night. So Babylon is destroyed in one day, which is the day of the Lord. Similar
Yeah.
parallel there. But it's funny that it's not mentioning the Persians, only the Medes, because King Cyrus in Isaiah 45, he is also an agent who casts destruction to Babylon, but the destruction they're doing in order to build the temple, to gather the people. This one, the Medes here are showing as the other hand, which is the hand of destruction. So I think it's very clever what Isaiah is doing
to
show that division, right?
Yeah.
Of the same entity, using two different phases probably of destruction and then conquering together and rebuild the Zion.
I did hear there was. Did you had come across this, that there was one of the tribes of the Medes, the priestly tribe, or the Magi?
Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah.
I thought, oh, that was interesting. If that's accurate,
I should look that. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's Jeremiah 51. So Jeremiah comes after Isaiah, and he's prophesying he prophesied the destruction of Babylon directly, and so he's using the Medes to make bright the arrows, gather the shields. The Lord has raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes for his devices against Babylon, to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of the Lord, the vengeance of his temple. That's very interesting, because we have a corruption of God's holy order in the end time, and this woman becomes a counterfeit. And just look what Isaiah speaking about the temple, and Jeremiah speaking about the temple, and Ezekiel, they saw corruption there. So the Lord comes. The Babylons destroy them, but then eventually he sent vengeance to Babylon. There was a slide I have for that. Anyway, so Jeremiah, this is same chapter 51:28. Prepare against her a nation with the kings of the Medes, the captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion. So all Babylon was destroyed. Now, a couple of parallel ideas, like the Chaldeans in Habakkuk 1:6. I'll raise the Chaldeans, a bitter and hasty nation, which shall march through the breadth of the land to possess the dwelling places that are not theirs. And that can be, again, the same composite entity. So, and then we have in Proverbs, riches profit not in the day of wrath, but righteousness deliver them from death. And if your emphasis is to just only survive by having means and take care of have some gold and food storage, which maybe you should have. I'm not saying you don't, but you don't put the righteousness in it.
Yeah, there's no backing behind it then, right? It's like,
yeah, if you're just getting gold around, they're gonna just cut your head. And then neither their silver nor their gold, this is in Zephaniah, shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath. For the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy, and he shall make even a speed radiance of them that dwell in the land. Yeah. Start investing in your spirituality. That's buy some oil for your lamps.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that will be the only way out. And the fire of his jealousy. That's the same word in Hebrew when the Lord tells the Israelites when he's giving the commandments through Moses, right? I'm a jealous God.
Oh yeah.
No other gods. But the idea that we have fornicated with Babylon, he's jealous of that, right?
That's like a jealous husband kind of a deal.
Yeah. We have all of us, both wives, the Israelite wife and the Gentiles, then try to enter into a covenant with him. Both of them become unfaithful. So we have to come out of Babylon now. The bride needs to come out of Babylon. If not, then yeah, Babylon will be destroyed. And then maybe here is the type, because yes, it can happen that we might see the vulnerable of society like nothing more vulnerable than a pregnant woman. Which, by the way, I'm shocked that there are no parking lots for pregnant women. The handicap, like they're all entitled. They have only handicaps people. But
There
then
should be.
in Chile, there are some just for pregnant
Really?
women. Yeah,
Oh,
just
you
pregnant
didn't
women.
know. Oh, that'd be great. I did. There's a point where you get there and you just can barely. I was waddled all at the very end there. Oh my gosh, yeah. It
Yeah,
totally. That's so nice to hear that. I didn't know anyone would ever do that. That's like very nice.
Well, when Emily got pregnant, I was excited that we are gonna get the best spots and
good parking.
And then Emily told me, no, there is no places for. So what?
I can't believe that. Oh, that's crazy. I did not know that in Chile.
So we care about the
good for you, Chileans caring for the pregnant. Yeah, that's so kind. That's some serious compassion. I appreciate that.
But they might suffer because of the vulnerability.
Yeah.
But then also it might be a type 2. So, and Jesus said, woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck those days. And we know that pregnancy is a type in labor, and in the book of Isaiah, those who bring forth Zion, they bring forth as a travail, right? And there are different labors, and I think you touched that last week.
Yeah, just barely, yeah.
People do give birth to tribulation. Some people, because the pain is so painful, the pain is so great that they die, just cannot deliver. Some of them have no strength to deliver, and some of them bring forth air only. So this can definitely also represent
all those
conditions in Babylon, those who haven't bring forth Zion. The child can be somebody who is not mature enough to spiritual maturity. And that's what exactly Isaiah 28 says. Whom he shall teach knowledge, and whom shall he make to understand doctrine, them that are weaned from the milk and draft from the breast. So these are the ones who are whining for milk. And he's speaking about his people here directly. For with stammering lips in another language shall it speak to his people. But the word of the Lord was unto them precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line. Here a little, there a little, that they might go and fall backward and be broken and snared and then taken captive. That's kind of the Hebrew. So they're going to be taken captive because they haven't moved on from a basic, superficial level of knowledge, spiritual knowledge. They haven't received the meat. They always were just looking for milk. So then that in itself is a condition that can be the sucking child that when this happens won't be able to stand in the holy place. So then
yeah, because you're represented as a young toddler, child, baby. Yeah, that's a great type. I think that's very cool.
Should we read some comments?
Yeah, we should probably. Let's see.
Okay, so we are not behind. So hi everyone who's making comments.
Greg Jackson's got a same earthquake experience as you in Japan.
Oh, Japan also.
Japan is scary ones, yeah. Oh.
So you want to answer that? Are the words for seraph and serpent related in Hebrew? Yes, the same word. The Nehustan is the same Hebrew word for seraph and for serpent. Numbers 21, when the Lord is lifting the serpent, he's literally lifting a seraph.
Yeah. Well, and don't we have fiery flying biting serpents in Book of Mormon? There's definitely some weird serpent things in there that represent that seraph category.
Okay, so the current population of the Earth is approaching to 8 billion. Okay,
Crazy.
just a, yeah, I know it's symbolic, but just think about just a third of that. Yeah, that would be. Sometimes you go to a crowded place, and that's nothing, and you kind of think, where are all these people coming from?
Yeah.
But that's nothing to look at it, and a third of the population. Those numbers are, and maybe that's what they're trying to tell us, that this is going to be beyond our capacity to understand that this can happen.
Yeah, I can't wrap my mind around it really.
Are you hinting that Persian monsters
Not
might be out?
hanging that at all. And I don't think you're. I don't. Yeah, it's just interesting. The Iran thing plays into the Medes a little bit here, but
Yeah.
not making any implications with that.
Well, that and Iraq for sure. There are some weird things though, like in the CIA documents.
Yeah, I just was listening to that today about the FOIA record for digging up some of the Nephilim and
Yeah, it's the fight that like literally
Gilgamesh.
a giant. They fought a giant, something like that.
Yeah. Well, this is what's weird too. So I was thinking about this the other day. The stammering lips and the another tongue or strange tongue or whatever. I came across something where it was said that supposedly the giants or the watchers, they're Nephilim, that they spoke through some form of mumbling or whispering or strange way of speaking. And I thought, I wonder if that could play into this at all. I mean, I know like typically we say this could be like the king of Assyria who's speaking in a strange tongue or foreign tongue, but I thought, well, maybe that could play, if there's an end time argument for the Book of Enoch and something to happen like that, then maybe there's something that plays in there.
For sure.
Weird, but
yeah, 2 comments here about earthquakes in Japan, but nothing will compare to like you read the Nephites, their type of earthquakes they went through, and First Nephi, I think 9 and 10. I think it's going to be worse because in the Book of Revelation said that the earthquake will be like nothing ever like happened before, and so the earth can be literally struck and divided.
It could be brought back together too. I wondered that too. Yeah. It's like Pangea, where it's like it seemed like it was one and then it broke apart, right? And all these there are 7 continents, but maybe there's something of the land together in the end time reversal.
Genesis 10:25, right? There was the day of Peleg. Was one land, and then it was divided. And
so weird. I mean, that's what I can't imagine. Did that happen over time or in one giant cataclysmic, like that would make the earth feel like it was knocked out of its orbit or, that would be huge.
The earthquake, Utah won't happen until the temple is finished. Yeah, well, I don't know. We will see.
I would challenge that. That's just my opinion. I don't know that maybe not. I would be curious to see, but
yeah, I don't know. I have no
idea how it plays.
I know a lot of people think the temple was a reference point for what is coming, but yeah.
There's also scripture where the Lord comes to his temple and there is a noise and there's, like
how shall it begin, right?
Yeah. So. It doesn't mean that it has to be working. He could come anytime and make a noise and, and temple, what does it represent? I don't know. Physical, or is it his covenant people? I don't, Yeah. Hard to say, but definitely debatable.
This is your reference, right? Joseph Smith told afflictions in a small moment.
Yeah. Yes.
So it might be a good chapter to have when these things happen, but
oh yeah. I don't know. Time, half time, still a small moment. That wouldn't feel very small from human perspective, but
infant dashes to pieces happened when the communists took over Cambodia. Yeah, this is awful. A refugee from the killing fields. A friend of mine knew this happening. Horror of horrors. It's not exaggeration.
I believe that.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, for sure. No, it can happen literally, but can also be a type of those who represent those conditions spiritually. And you saw during the fires, I believe in Hawaii was those big fires, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of
California too.
people, a lot of children died that you could not even see the bodies.
Really?
So weird things can happen, but you can be absolutely dissolved, destroyed. Let's see.
Stuff.
Maybe that's a reference to the shields up, red alert, fire, torpedoes, the bows. Thank you for mentioning. This is Greg. Isaiah 28 verse. You are talking about you're talking about in this chapter, and much of Isaiah.
It's not milk.
Yeah.
Not exactly milk, but it could be like, transitional baby food. I feel like we're trying to serve it up in a nice way.
Yeah. Well, I have my thoughts on that too. That we talk about it that you have the meat, the M's, the meat, the milk, the manuals, and which are remove layers from source. So it's not even milk. Sometimes it's like formula. Like it's not really giving you nourishment because it has been sometimes the doctrine changed so much, and we rely so much on interpretations or many layers removed from the source, and it's our whole learning that doesn't produce nourishment because being fed or eat is not the same than being nourished.
It's like cow milk, Rodolfo. Come on. It's not probably meant for us. We're trying to digest something that an animal that has like 4 stomachs is digesting. I don't know. If it was breast milk, I would feel much happier about it if there was a parallel to that. But, that's a different nourishment.
Yeah. And it says 6 in other places. Isaiah suggests that only 1/10 of the early will be left after the destruction. Yeah, and in Isaiah's time, that was what happened to Jerusalem, to Judah, that the Assyrians destroyed most of Judah, and then there were only 2,000 people in Jerusalem, 2,000 men at least, without counting women and children. So do the math. I don't know, with children, 6,000 people from all the population that was reduced because of the Assyrian invasion. I don't know if that refers to the whole earth, because then you know that the work needs to be done among the nations, so there are going to be other places with population, but at least among God's people, 1/10 survive. If you want to say, okay, what is that in the end time? United States, Utah, you make sense of that, but is the earth being rolled together like a scroll, the reunification of the divided lands?
The heavens that are together, the earth. I can't think what the is. Maybe it could be both, but I like the idea of the lands coming back together.
Yeah.
Definitely cool.
That will be a fun ride just to come together. All right, let's go with the next. You wanna?
Yeah, Greg, Greg just mentioned there's massive lakes. I was just reading that real quick. Yeah, I know there's like supposedly, I like tons of water underneath there that could potentially play into a huge problem. Yeah, speaking of liquefaction kind of things. Yeah. Okay, sorry.
But Justice Smith said that there's going to be a massive earthquake, I think in the Mississippi River, that will divide the nation in two. But I don't know.
Yeah. Makes sense too. Okay.
Okay, you wanna read this blog?
Yeah, these are our last 4 for this chapter. Okay, so we're hitting Babylon again here specifically. Babylon, the beauty of kingdoms, the splendor of the pride of the Chaldeans, shall become like the overthrow of God of Sodom and Gomorrah. She shall not be inhabited forever, and she shall not dwell in unto generation and generation. No Arab shall pitch tent there, and shepherds shall not make flocks lie down there. And desert creatures shall lie down there, and their houses shall be full of howling creatures, and daughters of the ostrich shall dwell there, and wild goats shall dance. And jackals shall howl in its palaces, and jackals in the palaces of delight. And near to come is her time, and her days shall not be prolonged.
Love the picture.
Funny, huh? Well, okay, so here's Babylon coming to like in the last 4 verses here, like coming to this conclusion of being totally destroyed so that nothing inhabits it but these specific kind of weird creatures that howl. And her days are no longer, like, well, and the Sodom and Gomorrah type, I guess it's overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah too is interesting that plays into this. But I mean, this is just pointing really to like a final destruction of this Babylon system, the Babylon kingdom, right?
Yeah, absolutely. There was one verse very quickly that, let me go back, that play parallel with this idea of not being inhabitant forever. I think I messed it 1 second, and it's in what is it? Okay, so this one, each people, when this is happening, they shall turn, and each to his land they shall flee.
Mm-hmm.
So the type here is that they're not really an inhabitant. You don't have citizenship in Babylon. That people went to their own land. So the people who live in Babylon, like Edward Maxwell said, that you can have a house of vacation in Babylon. We like to hang out there sometimes, so we all go there here and there, and then come back and try to act like we don't have property there. Yeah. But it is a place that is not like you can have citizenship in Zion, but Babylon is just an illusion. It's not. And back then it was a commercial place that a lot of people went there for commerce rather than they lived there. So there was seasons when they have some other festivities when people travel to Babylon, like Las Vegas. Or I
was gonna say, it's like going to Vegas kind of a thing. Yeah. Oh gosh.
Yeah, but then it will be absolutely desolate.
And no one's traveling to go there too, because the system's gone, right? You're not going there to trade, to buy, to. So. Yes. Okay, that makes sense.
And I thought about this phrase, Babylon, the beauty of the kingdoms, like the beauty of the kingdoms. And the King James translate this as the glory of the kingdoms. This is the literal translation. But glory of the kingdoms versus a kingdom of glory. And maybe there is a play on words that Babylon was an external, like Moses has been taken out of Egypt to a place where God is manifested to him is through desolation. Mount Horeb means wasted, and that's called God's mountain in Exodus chapter 3. Then the burning bush, again, that's the Hebrew is a thorny bush, one of the lowest bushes growing in the wilderness. So he's leaving this external majestic empire to a place to reconstruct his understanding of things. So Babylon was a beautiful, you look at the cities, you look at the external elements, even our temples, right? Everything is like really nice. Beautiful appearance, outward appearance. But then the kingdoms of glory that we inherit later are the glory of the people in it. So it's like an inward.
It's like a reversal, like inward, outward. Like yeah, that's cool. I like that.
Okay.
Well, so with what I was thinking with Sodom and Gomorrah, it's mentioned 3 times in Isaiah. I was saying to you, Rodolfo and Cameron, earlier that I always just thought of Sodom and Gomorrah as a type of destruction. And in the first 2 verses here from this chapter, and then in 1 and 9, it seems to point to that. Chapter 1 says, if the Lord of hosts had not left us a remnant, we would have been like Sodom. We would have resembled Gomorrah. Hear the word of the Lord, you rulers of Sodom. Give ear to the law of our God, you people of Gomorrah. Right? So it's like, again, kind of talking about this destruction, but then there's this added component of a remnant being left. And I guess Lot and his wife and family only, maybe they don't represent a remnant. Do they just represent like a man and his family? I mean, to me, I kind of see them as like not a remnant, but they're at least a man, right? It's like because of Abraham, he saved at least a man. But besides the destruction, then I was thinking about Isaiah 3:9, and it says, the show of their countenance doth witness against them, and they declare their sin is Sodom. They hide it not. Woe unto their soul, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. And so here it's kind of pointing more to the sin of Sodom and what that is. So maybe the destruction is a type and what the sin is. And I'm not going to go into what the sin is because it's like a wild goose chase, but there's so many. Maybe another time we'll do that. I would love to, because it's one thing I've been exploring. But so I think there's a couple aspects of Sodom and Gomorrah representing, the overthrow and destruction that God does through these, fiery balls, and the Hebrew on that's really interesting too. But also what it is that the sin is that they declared that they were so open that their countenance revealed about them. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Well, and Isaiah showed you the remnant theology all over, right? Isaiah 4, Isaiah 10, Isaiah 11, Isaiah 37, Isaiah 26. So there is a remnant that the Lord will.
And that's what that temple imagery is pointing to, right? Is like you need to be able to stand in the holy place. That is
holy place, exactly. Yes.
Okay. So the weird animals that are described that are left in this, destroyed desert. One aspect I thought was interesting. Each one of them represent something beyond what just the English says, but I thought I would just choose this one. Basically, the wild goats, they could be satyrs or devils and represent something more. The Hebrew word, it describes it's either like a he-goat, it could be a buck, a fawn. That's one of the animals they use to sacrifice. A devil could be like, it represents being hairy too, like a kid, like a hairy kid, like a goat. The word rough, satyr, and then satyr can also refer to like something that's demon possessed, specifically a goat, but like how the Lord threw the devils into the pigs, as an example. And then there's a root word here that has to do with, a storm and tempest and whirlwind and sweeping away, which obviously a great root word for that. But in this chapter, so 13 of the Septuagint, verse 21, it calls them satyrs, and it also calls them monsters for one of the other words there. So it's kind of an interesting one. Then in Isaiah 34 in the Septuagint too. So I thought this was cool because it says, let's see. So, and for a long time, birds and hedgehogs and ibises and ravens shall dwell in it, and the measuring line of desolation shall be cast over it. I just thought that because like the measuring line of desolation represents like that. The measuring line is like kind of almost like I see it as a boundary, but also a tool. Like we were talking about, like the line and the plummet when you're building something for the temple and so whatever that measuring boundary line is, it's desolation is what it is, right? It's like, it's just.
Yeah, John is giving the rod to measure the temple, the holy place, and the inner sanctuary. And again, the outward court has become open for destruction. Then you have the angel from the east, which in section 77 is also John, who seals in the foreheads the 144,000. The seal also represents the boundary. And then in Ezekiel, you have a phrase that the Lord uses that I will pass Israel or my people under the rod.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's a
He counts
concept
them.
that the shepherd, right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
every 10th of the
Mhm.
flock they mark. So they had a road, everybody was passing, so he's counting 1 to 10, pump mark. That represents the 10th. So that represents again the same road, boundary, protection, and so forth.
Yeah, the measuring. I like that. Okay. So they're called satyrs here too. Satyrs dwell in it, and thorns shall spring up in their cities and her strongholds, and they shall be inhabited or habitations of monsters. And a court for ostriches, and devils shall meet with satyrs, and they shall cry one to another. There shall satyrs rest, having found for themselves a place of rest. And we earlier in this chapter 13, we talked about how the sheep don't lay down there, but these other animals lay down. And to lay down represents that idea of finding rest. So, and then in Leviticus, it's also they shall no longer sacrifice their sacrifices to the goat demons, with which they play the harlot. This shall be a permanent statute to them throughout their generations. So, just that same idea of, what God are you worshiping? It's funny that the translation is actually goat demon, but and that potentially playing the harlot to that God too, and then it is a permanent statute. Don't do this, right? It's like
well, in the book of Hosea, when the woman go like to the wilderness, where the people realize they have been serving Baal as God, and now they're gonna call finally the Lord Ishi, means husband.
Because
no Lord anymore, because Lord is Baal, but then Hosea is mentioning Hosea chapter 2 that if your worshiping is not producing that inward change, then you are serving other gods.
Yes, and I think I think that's like a realization we come to probably multiple times as we're going through the process, is realizing, who are you calling Lord? Is Baal your Lord, and are you or is Christ your Lord, your Ishi, your husband, your master? Yeah, interesting.
No, all who say Lord, Lord, right, shall enter.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good one too. It's so applicable. Okay, so in relation to this word, for the satyr, for like the goat god, I was thinking of these two aspects of Azazel, who's like the scapegoat in Leviticus, and then Pan, the goat god. I just couldn't help myself. So in Leviticus 16:8, and Aaron shall cast lots upon the two goats, one lot for the Lord and the other lot for the scapegoat. And the scapegoat is the word Azazel. And it means it's the goat used for the sacrifice for the sins of the people. One translation is goat of departure or goat of going out. And because it's like loaded up with the sins and sent out into the wilderness, right? Is that like a good way to think of explaining that? So which is going to play a little bit of part in here into some other slides I have. But so then I was thinking about Azazel. That's also a character in the Book of Enoch. Sorry, you guys, I'm super heavy into the Book of Enoch right now because I'm kind of obsessed with the Watchers and Giants. So you guys get all that. You're not even getting it. Like, you're not even getting 10% of what I've been into. So, but I know it's still a lot. So sorry. But he's a character in there, and he's like the leader of the Watchers, that the rebellious angel hosts, that choose to fall and corrupt the earth. But he does corrupt humanity himself by teaching about this forbidden knowledge and the art of warfare. And he teaches women how to use like cosmetics and jewelry to deceive. And so because of this corruption, he's basically bound and he's cast into darkness. And it's actually and make an opening. It's Raphael's one of the archangels. He's told to make an opening in the desert, which is in Dew Dale, and cast him in it. So place him upon a rough and jagged rocks and cover him with darkness until the day of great judgment. And to him ascribe all sin. So it's interesting, just that same idea of the scapegoat where sin is placed upon him and he's sent out to the desert. Then we find the same type of idea in the Book of Enoch here. And, Azazel being a goat just seems applicable. So then the other idea, Pan, which is a Greek basically a goat god. If you think of Mr. Tumnus from
From
Miss
Nami.
Lewis, right? Mr. Tumnus, he was kind of like kind of goat god playing the music, and I could never tell if he was good or bad or not, but interesting connection. So he's associated with nature and shepherds, flocks, mountains, music, also sudden terror, and he's half goat, half man. And he rules over forests, mountains, caves, shepherds, and grazing animals. So I was thinking this ties back into, well, okay, first the scapegoat ties back into Isaiah 13:14, because the gazelles are sent out there and the sheep are not gathered, right? It's like, instead of whatever the idea of coming in is, this being sent out, but then also, sin's placed upon him. But then here in 20 and 21, we have, what does it say? That we have the shepherd, and does it have
21?
Yeah, what does it say? Or let's see, maybe it's before that one. Actually, it's before that. What does it say? The shepherd, and I have to look at my notes. Where does it say the shepherd? The shepherd. Maybe it's closer to 14. Let's see.
And 21?
I'm looking here. Where did we talk about? Oh, yeah, the Arab. Okay, so in 20, Arab and shepherds, right?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. Okay, the Arab and shepherds are in 20, just in relation to Pan being the god over the shepherds and over these animals that dwell out in nature. And then here we have that the Arab and the shepherd, they won't pitch their tent and their flocks won't lay down here. So I just thought it was an interesting connection that he's over those things. Is there something you want to share?
No. I was looking for that reference.
Yeah, but so that's it. I just thought those was an interesting, because we're talking about, in essence, some kind of weird entity that's living out in the desert, and these howling creatures. Yeah. Well, and there is more for like the daughter of the ostrich and stuff, but I thought we would go into that probably when we get to Isaiah 34. But it means it can be translated as like a daughter of greed or daughter of wilderness, or it's for an owl, kind of an owl. And then we have like the screech owl or the night owl that connects to Lilith and that whole Lilith story. So I think we come across it again in Isaiah 34. We can talk about it more then. But so like I said, each of those characters represents some kind of strange entity that is the only thing that is willing to probably dwell or in that kind of land, or maybe it's, allowed to be there.
It seems like, the woman is in the book of, the Lord takes John in Revelation 12.
Mm-hmm.
And Revelation 17. And the Lord takes him to the wilderness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then the woman, Babylon, is in the wilderness. So maybe there is a type there.
Yeah.
And maybe this entity has been not kosher because of the...
Yeah, compared to the gazelle and the sheep, maybe too, like a contrast. These are unclean animals.
Unclean, represent that worshipping to false gods and idol worship and all of that. So that's been happening in the wilderness.
True. Yeah, that's true. The goat also represented, some kind of idol worship.
And just one thought on Azazel to go out. There is a phrase in the Book of Mormon and the Book of Revelation, right? They shall not go out anymore, right? So there is a point where you can end that cycle of sending that scapegoat to the wilderness when there is no more going out, but you dwell actually in the inner place, and Revelation mentioned that. So,
well, I like that idea of that. That's good. Well, I gotta write that down.
Yeah, that's Revelation 18.
Okay, that's a good one. And then this was just this connects to Babylon again, the idea of Babylon and the fallen Babylon and becoming this dwelling place for demons, a haunt for every unclean spirit, a haunt for every unclean bird, a haunt for every unclean and detestable beast.
Yeah.
So it just kind of ties it into that end time Babylon.
What am I going?
I don't know. Let's see.
This is the last. This is the last. Yeah, this is awesome. Yeah, keep going. So, yep.
So we talked about Babylon finally at the point where her days will not be prolonged anymore. And I just thought of, I couldn't think of that many examples, and I didn't search, but just thought these were off the top of my head of where days aren't prolonged as much as I could think of when the length of days, days is lengthened or long life or days are prolonged. So I thought, a lot of times when we're trying to understand what something means, we can look at the opposite of it. And I have a couple examples of not having your days prolonged, but I thought there's some interesting connections if we look at this idea of days being lengthened. So Job 12, who knoweth not in all these things that the hand of the Lord hath wrought this, in whose hand is the soul of every living thing and the breath of all mankind. Doth not the ear try words and the mouth taste his meat? That actually ties in with your milk there. With the ancient is wisdom, and in length of days understanding. With him is wisdom and strength. He hath counsel and understanding. So we're going to see this connection with length of days. There's like wisdom and understanding that connect to it.
Oh, of the Ancient of Days and Daniel. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, totally. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Good call. Yeah. So then there's another one in Psalms 21. He asked life of thee, and thou gavest it him, even length of days forever and ever. So length of days, maybe there's describing some kind of immortality, eternal life. Length of days and long life and peace shall they add to thee. Length of days is in her right hand, and in her left hand riches and honor. So now we're going to see a connection with length of days and riches and honor in the next couple of slides here. So this one here in First Kings, real quick, it's Solomon, and because he doesn't ask for riches and long life. Instead, he asks for an understanding heart to judge the people so that he can discern between good and bad. And so because he does this, then the Lord rewards him and gives him both riches and honor. And he also tells him that if you walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments as thy father David did walk, then I will lengthen thy days. So then we also see a connection with following the example and honoring a righteous father or parent here. And in Exodus 20:12, it says, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land, which the Lord thy God giveth thee. And then Isaiah 53, let's see. Yet it pleased the Lord to bruise him. He hath put him to grief when thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin. He shall see his seed, which again, there's like represents some family there. He shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hand. And then we see hand there again. And the idea of making your soul an offering for sin, maybe obviously for yourself, but maybe there's an aspect of doing that for someone else too that is going to play in here in the next slide. But
did I told you some of my interpretation of that verse?
No, I'd love to hear it though.
Well, when Christ is on the cross, who is the only apostle there?
Who's the only apostle?
Oh, everybody left except John.
Mm-hmm.
So when he's making solo an offering, he shall see his seed. He sees John.
Yeah.
He shall bring up his days.
John's still here.
He's still here. He's here. He's gonna play a role.
I like that.
Anyway, that's just,
that's a good. Yeah, I like that interpretation. I could get behind that. That's good. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, so Isaiah 65, 22 and 23. They shall not build and another inhabit. They shall not plant and another eat. For as the days of a tree are the days of my people, and mine elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands. They shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth for trouble. For they are the seed of the blessed of the Lord, and their offspring with them. So there's just maybe another example of it, even though the words aren't exactly the same. And then this is the last one here. So let's see. So this is from the book of Enoch. Here was an example I just thought funny again. So Gabriel said to the Lord, proceed against the bastards and the reprobates and against the children of fornication and destroy the children of fornication and the children of the watchers from amongst men and cause them to go forth and send them one against the other that they may destroy each other in battle. For length of days shall they not have. And then to go further, it says, no request that they, their fathers, make shall be granted unto the fathers. No, it's okay, on their behalf. So there's this also, so say, for they hope to live an eternal life. So they can't, the fathers also can't ask for their sons in this regard for a longer life. There's like no, they don't have the ability to act as maybe like a savior or proxy for their children like that. Right's been taken away. So that was interesting, right?
Huh.
And then real quick, here is Hezekiah in Isaiah 38. He talks about, I said the same word as like maybe the length of days not having would be the word being cut off. I think it is pretty applicable, right? I said in the cutting off of my days, I shall go to the gates of the grave. I am deprived of the residue of my years. I said, I shall not see the Lord, even the Lord, in the land of the living. I shall behold man no more with the inhabitants of the world. Mine age is departed and is removed from me as a shepherd's tent. I have cut off like a weaver my life. He will cut me off with pining sickness. He'll make an end of me in essence, right? So this is when Hezekiah gets sick and he gets those boils and Isaiah tells him, prepare your house. You're going to die, right? You want to share the connection there? There's more, I know. Okay, let me finish this real quick and then we'll talk. Let's see. So he says, men live in all these things is life of my life of the spirit, my spirit. So wilt thou recover me and make me to live. So then the type of this, again, the wording is not the same, but the sign that he's given is that the Lord will bring again the shadow of degrees, which has gone down in the sundial of Ahaz 10 degrees backward. So the sun returns 10 degrees, and he's given, so it's like 15 years of life again?
14.
So he's given this prolonged life through this sacrifice and offering that he gives the Lord, which kind of plays into this idea of, proxy savior again. Okay, go ahead.
No. That's when we're going to get there, and there's some fun traditions why he got sick. And
yeah, right. Again, it plays into the whole seed thing. It's like, okay, like,
exactly. That's cool. Yeah,
good connections there, I thought. So that's kind of fun.
Put a pin on that and we will.
Yeah, we'll come back to that. There is some really good stuff on that, you guys. That I think
5 years when we get to Isaiah 38.
I'm more hopeful than that.
We're doing well. We're doing well, I think.
I don't want to be rushed. It's way too fun to slow down and go through all the things,
And if you look at section 84, verse 34, that those who so there is a connection here, right? Like we can read it.
Sure. Yeah, just pull it up.
Sorry, let's say 84. So I think it's 34, 33. So for those who are faithful unto the obtaining these two priesthood which I have spoken, and they magnify their calling, they're sanctified by the Spirit unto the renewing of their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
That renewal also appears in Isaiah 40, verse 31. They shall renew their strength as an eagle's wings and all of that. So I think the Lord is prolonging the seed. In this case, was the seed of the woman of the church, which it was the people back then in Jerusalem that were delivered by the Assyrian. And they become, and you have also the idea of posterity here, the sons of Moses and Aaron and the seed of Abraham. Mm-hmm. So that's the seed of Abraham and the church and kingdom and the elect of God. So
there's all the pieces right there. That's cool.
Yeah, all of them.
That's awesome.
So
yeah, that's a good
one. And in the MC 101, you have and that day the infant shall not die until he's old, and his life shall be as the age of a tree, similar to what you read in Isaiah And when he dies, he shall not sleep. That's to say, in the earth, but shall be changed in a twinkle of an eye, and shall be caught up, and his rest shall be glorious.
Oh, that's a good one.
So,
Yeah, those are good.
and also the principle of temporal deliverance, and which in the end time applies. So temporal deliverance is linked to spiritual salvation.
Mhm.
So the Lord will preserve a remnant, because it's going to prolong their days, while to Babylon it's going to shorten their days.
Yeah, I did think about that, right? Where the Lord talks about, is that the New Testament where he says if he didn't shorten the days, if he didn't, what is the phrase?
If one
Okay.
before the elect, right?
Yeah.
Matthew 24.
Yeah, is that where it is? Okay. I gotta look at that.
Yeah, the days shall be shortened, and I mean that's a reference there to the sundial of King Ahaz.
Well,
That's
yeah, I like the sundial one because days become, longer when there's more light, right? And they become shorter when there's more darkness. And so, in relation to plants and animals, like my horses, their winter coat comes on based on how many dark hours there are. It has nothing to do with the temperature, really. It has to do with how much light they get and how much light enters the eye. So the fact that, that Hezekiah gets more light represents that idea of,
that's
more
very
light.
Yeah, that's very cool.
Yeah, I mean, and flowers bloom based on their light hours too. So there's just the whole system is based on how much light you get. It's kind of cool. Anyways.
Okay, there's a few comments. Let's see. Travis said Hadith that he moved to Missouri. Well, you want me to read you the? That's okay. I think that everybody will be in the eye of the storm, and the only way to get out is going to be through, again, spiritual condition, as we talked today.
I think there's probably a place for everybody they're supposed to be, but I don't think there's like one place necessarily better than another. There's probably a place that's great for each of you and everybody, but at least at this point in time,
Yeah, when it comes to, well, the Lord, again, we have the types. The Book of Mormon begins with a call out, and we're gonna read some of the call out happening to Moab in a few weeks. So the Lord is gonna take the people, and there is some type of decree, proclamation, invitation that people are going to receive to go to a place of safety. But more importantly is I think if you are in the right place spiritually, then nothing to worry. The Lord has good aim. So
True.
Hebrew says the jewel of the kingdoms, verse 19. But apparently strong days, this can either mean splendor or gazelle. Yeah, it's the same word for gazelle, which is the same word as raw. Yeah, that's what I think King James mentioned that in Isaiah 13:14. Is there a chiasm there? Probably. There is a parallelism there too with Isaiah 29 that the righteous shall jump I think it's a gazelle too.
Oh, leap or
leap.
The same word. And that's the same word for dance there too. And
so be able to move
out
of the place. That's a good connection.
Yeah.
And the last one, verse 20. Yeah, so there is also, you mentioned Arabia, and there is a reference in Arabia in Isaiah 21. And I thought you were mentioning that, and that was in Isaiah 30, verse 22.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Anyway, so this closes the chapter 13. Next chapter is about the king of Babylon, which is loaded. I think it's going to take us maybe 2 weeks to go through that chapter. Definitely. And then we're going to go over the other nations that represent this greater Babylon entity. And Isaiah highlights what the Babylonian sin is and all of that. But yeah, this opens the unit for the system that needs to be, it's a current system. Today we live, if we are not in Zion, doesn't matter. We are living in a Babylonian system. That is currency, and currency, by any means, I mean only money, but also the currency that Satan manipulates the people: pride, priestcraft, power, desire for more, for gain. And when you read that phrase here, the beauty of the kingdoms, the splendor, the glory, when Satan takes the Lord right to a high mountain and he offers all the glory of the kingdoms in Matthew chapter 4, he's offering everything that Babylon offered. And he rejects that. He rejects, he's the archetype of not partaking of Babylon. And in the book of Revelation mentioned, don't touch her, don't be in bed with her, don't partake of her plagues. And it's and Babylon is the world, so we can still live in the world but be out of the world. That's what the Lord tried to tell his apostles. If we are living today spiritually in that holy place or the Holy of Holies, and I think you need to find out in our own lives what that means, right? What does it mean for us? And if we are constantly feeling the Holy Ghost and receiving revelations and promptings and understanding, and we are developing our attributes are improving, well, our nature is becoming more Christ-like, and we have care for others, then you are in a good direction. But if not, then the invitation has been given, so we can all of us do a little effort. And as scared as this chapter is, there is hope. I hope that's part of always the message, that the Lord is always going to deliver his people. And yeah.
Well said.
Anything else? Closing remarks, Rachel? You did so well.
Nope, that's great. We're right at 9. Woo.
Yeah. So buckle up for next chapter.
Yeah, it's a crazy one. It's crazy.
Yes. And we will see, what comes from that.
Yeah, thank you guys for all your comments.
Thank you, everyone, and stay tuned. God bless. Bye-bye.
Have a good night.